My name is Romaine Campbell. I'm a deputy sheriff for Orange County Sheriff Office. In 2019, my 2-year-old, he was murdered, domestic related. My son mom, she had a boyfriend. He ended up taking my son's life. So, that was the worst thing that I ever had to deal with. Losing a child, and I went in a dark place. And seeing my wife there by my side, she prayed for me. She did what a wife was supposed to do. The relationship that I was in with my son mother, it was a rough relationship. We were both unsaved, and I knew there was a God, right? But on her end, she didn't really believe in God like that. So, a lot of things that took place in that relationship at the time, it was a lot of, let's just say, it was a lot of obstacles in that relationship. So it was a lot of on and off in the relationship. I met my wife in high school. We were like acquaintances, and then fast forward in 2017, we reconnected over social media, and I sent her a message, and it was history from there. At that time, I wasn't hearing from my son's mother because there was some pettiness going on at the time, so I didn't hear from my son's mother for a while. So I was surprised to receive that call. So I was sleeping and getting ready to go to training, and then I received a call. I had a missed call, so I called her back, and she advised that my son Hayden, he was in the hospital fighting for his life. He was basically in a coma at the time, and initially when she told me that, I started to wonder, is my son alive? All type of thoughts came to me. I was in shock, so I didn't know what to do at the time. So my wife, I advised my wife, and she calmed me down, and we started booking flights to go to Connecticut that same day. So at that time, when I actually got there, I received the news that based off the injuries and things like that, the person actually had to did something to my son for him to pass away. So when I received that news, I broke down. At that time it was tough. I didn't know what to think. I was like, why would this guy want to hurt my son? He had came to visit the hospital, to figure out what was going on with Hayden, like if he made it or not. So he was back and forth at the hospital, and once the detectives received, the results of what took place, they served up a warrant, and they arrested him. After we had the funeral, we had to come back to our life, because at that time as well, we had I believe Malia was 1 at the time. We had our 1-year-old daughter at the time. And then, I had my job to come back to. And though it was one of the most difficult things I ever had to deal with, I also knew that I still have my wife and my daughter to take care of. So, I came back to Florida, and I believe I got maybe a couple weeks off from my job, and then I went back into training. They advised, they're a very supportive agency. They advised I could have taken more time off, but I knew if I did, it would have put, my family in a place financially where it would be tough on us. So I had to make that decision, as a man and as the family. I have to go back to training and do what I needed to do. So, my family played a big role for me to try and, put everything else behind me and still grieve, but at the same time, I had to be a man and, go back to taking care of business for the family. So at the time, going through all of that, my relationship with God had declined. I wasn't praying. I wasn't reading the word. My wife is Michelle. She's a prayer warrior, through it all. She continued to pray for me because she knows the word, what the word says, and she did not give up on me. There were times that I may mistreat her, verbally abusive, and I used to blame me grieving, and at the time I did not care what happened to the marriage. The day that I finally came to church, I came in, I was in a dark place, I felt heavy. Michelle told him that I needed prayer for where I was going through. I believe that, or he already knew the situation, and seeing me in church, he wanted to pray for me as well. He called me up, and that's when he gave me the scripture to read. And the scripture said to do not be anxious about anything, but in prayer and petition, let your requests be known unto God, and he will give you a peace that transcends all understanding. And when I read that scripture, I felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulder, and I never felt like that before. I had all types of emotions. Like, my coach could have gave me a hug or anything like that. He could have consoled me, but instead, he gave me the word, and he let me read the word. And ever since that day, I believe that's when I really got saved and actually started living for God. I started to sing songs in church. Like, God would put songs in my mind to sing, and there was a time in church where I don't even feel comfortable clapping my hands or standing. So for God to put a song in my heart for me to go up and sing, that was another part of my growth with God as well. Because for one, I'm being obedient, and secondly, while I'm singing, I'm crying, I'm breaking down, and that's God ministering, that's God ministering through the songs to me. So I'm singing the songs, and I'm still growing, and I probably still was being delivered from more things from the songs that he placed in my heart. So that kept me closer. The whole situation with my son, I believe he used that situation to bring me in church. People of this world may look at it as, God, he's brutal, but at the same time, me knowing the word, I know Hayden, he's in heaven. So I kind of know that he used that situation to break me, to bring me back in the kingdom, to do his work, and to actually live how I'm supposed to live.